So I am going to go ahead and call this meeting to order of our March 23rd, 2021 School Board Directors Meeting. So we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. You'll join along with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So have school board members had an opportunity to look at the agenda? Is there any discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, our agenda has been adopted. So moving to item number 3, community comments. At this point of the meeting, we have opportunity for the community to make comments. There's a second opportunity later in the meeting. I'm going to go ahead and read our community comment statement just in case someone is hoping to make a comment and would like to call in. Now would be the time to do so. As part of the regular school board meeting, the board invites community members to make public comments in person and or by phone as conditions allow by calling the phone number and entering the meeting ID as presented on our website. Our public comment procedure allows each person 3 minutes to speak, and comments will be heard during the 2 community comment periods as listed on the agenda. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is not allowed to discuss items that are not on the agenda. The board may direct the superintendent to follow up on certain items that arise during public comment if appropriate. As with in-person meetings, public comments received in writing or by email will not be read aloud, but will be directed for follow-up where appropriate. Please be mindful of how you present your testimony, as the board will not allow complaints against an individual staff member or student in open session unless that individual has requested an open public hearing. Please state your name before speaking. All right, so Bob, if you could really briefly give us just a little rundown on how to make a community comment, I'd appreciate that.
Sure. If you're calling in by phone, *6 to mute or unmute, and *9 to raise your hand, which takes you to the top of the list so that we can see you wish to make a comment, and then we will call on you individually, at which point, like I said, *6 to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. So at this point, I'm not seeing anyone who has called in. Does anyone else, would anybody else like to make a community comment at this time? All right, thank you. Hearing none, we will go ahead and move on. There, like I said, there will be a second opportunity later in the meeting for community comments. So we're going to go ahead and move to item 4, which is reports and recognitions. And item 4.01 is the reopening of school on March 15th, 2021 with Mary Ann Marshall.
All right, I'd like to say good evening to the board and to Dr. Apostle. Thank you for allowing me to share how the reopening of schools has gone. So far, things are going well. We're into our second week of welcoming back K-12, PK-12, all students. This is a conference week and conferences are going well. And we did have a little bit of a schedule change with buses and students getting out a little bit earlier, but that schedule change seems to be going well and smoothly. Students are still excited to be back. You know, one of the things we were a little apprehensive about is how kids gonna react to having to wear a mask all day, but we're not seeing any major issues with that. Behavior is good. People are just happy to be back. And so I just wanted to share with you, it's still successful 2 weeks in almost. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mary Ann. So are there any questions or comments for Mary Ann about the reopening of school?
Does it seem like the check-in lines in the beginning, like when they're going through all the screening, has that gotten better each week and each time that kids are doing that? Is that,
Yeah, so when we first welcome students back, of course, they're learning and going through that process the first time. And what we learned is to just over communicate and share what that process needs to look like. And kids are on it now. They got their QR code, they're ready to go. And, you know, we're processing in and Bruce Kipper is here this evening, we're processing in our high school students like under 15 minutes, and that's a lot of kids. So we're seeing huge success with that.
that's great. Yeah, I was wondering how that was going up there.
Yeah, really, really well. Those visuals that we purchased to put on the ground and just having staff out and about helping to direct kids, that has been truly helpful and helped in the success.
All right. Other questions or comments? All right, great. Thank you, Marianne.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
All right, moving on to item 4.02, status report on the ESSER funds 1, 2, and 3 with Brenda.
Okay, make sure I'm in. Good evening, Dr. Apostle and the board. Thank you for inviting me to give you an update on all of the ESSER funds we're receiving this year. It's quite a pot of money now that we're seeing come in. So I'll go through each one and give you a little summary of each one that we have. The ESSER 1 funds started this past year, also known as the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Each one of these has its own little title. It's quite interesting. But the CARES 1, we received $975,237. That was actually 90% of the total allocation that would have come to Shelton School District. The state has withheld 10% for their use. The ESSER 1 funds need to be spent by September 30th of 2022. We will be using all of those no later than August 31st of this year, the 2021. Those can all be used clear back to March 15th when the state went to an emergency status. And it's basically for coronavirus issues that you had to purchase, such as PPE, Chromebooks, hotspots for the kids, learning tools such as K-12. So any school that received Title I funding in 2019-20 received the ESSER 1 money. And again, this is a spend it, and then you submit a claim the following month in iGrants. Then we have ESSER 2 coming, that is the CRRSA Act. It's the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act. That amount, the grant just came up, and it is $3,693,877. That also is 90% of the total allocation that the district would have received. The state again withheld 10%. We have through September 30th of 2023 to spend those funds. This one was based on if you received Title I funding in the fiscal year 2020-21. And the district is in the process right now of submitting the grant application to get those funds. Again, this one also is a spend it and then submit your claim and get reimbursed the following month. Then we have ESSER 3 now that the grant application has not been released, but we do have an estimate for the allocation. This is called the ARP. It's the American Rescue Plan. And the district will be receiving $8,296,200. It's a big chunk of money. We have till September 30th of 2023 to spend that one also. ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 are the same date. At least 20% of ESSER 3 must be spent on learning loss activities. In our initial discussions, our plan is to use more than 20% of ESSER 3 and most likely use some of ESSER 2 for that same activity. The ESSER 3, if you receive Title I funding in 2020-21, you receive that. And then also this is you must spend the money and submit your claim the following month. All three of these are federal dollars. And due to their size, I can guarantee you they are going to be in every audit we have for the next 3 to 5 years. So they all must be accounted for separately. The state has created 3 sets of account codes that we'll be using to track each pot of money separately. I will also be forming a committee very soon to participate in how we're going to spend ESSER 2 and ESSER 3. It will involve community members, district employees, parents, that type of thing. So if anyone is interested in being on that committee, feel free to contact me. So that is our update for ESSER 1, 2, and 3 this evening.
Excellent, thank you.
Mhm.
So questions or comments for Brenda? All right, Great.
I have a question.
go ahead.
Do they define what learning loss activities are, or are those things that we will find out more about?
Right now, from what I'm seeing, because the grant application hasn't been released, I'm not seeing the definitions of that. So I think we'll see more when the grant application comes out, because we'll have to write narratives as to what that looks like.
Okay, thank
And I
you.
think, excuse me, if I could comment on that one. I think what's important, Carrie, and the rest of the board is that we really determine what the needs are based on our kids coming back and really analyze where they're at. And I think then we will be able to really figure out what's the best way to expend these funds. Where is the need? And we go from there. But we're going to probably be asked to put a plan together based on that determination. What are the things that our kids need? And then we would funnel the money in that direction.
All right, other questions or comments? All right, so let's go ahead and move on to item 4.03, which is the February 2021 budget status report with Brenda.
Okay, good evening again. I'm going to share my screen so we can have that on there. Okay, this is for February 2021. You will see that the February fund balance is lower than January's fund balance by about $450,000. There are a couple things that contribute to that. Normally February is lower than January when you go back and look at the history, and then March typically stays pretty close to February, and then you have a spike in April due to tax collection. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. It did go down a little more this year because in February, that was the first month we did not receive transportation funding, and that is close to $300,000. We also made a very large payment out of the ESSER 1 CARES funds of about $550,000. So we have to wait till the following month to have that reimbursed. So we actually probably would have went up if those two things wouldn't have happened, but that's where we're at right now. So February fund balance is $1,192,295.90. And then capital projects fund is $371,473.35. On March 1st, we did receive a little over $400,000 in state match funds. So you're going to see that go back up in March. Debt service fund, we are collecting taxes monthly to rebuild for our June 1st bond payments. And the balance is $607,055.76. Associated Student Body Fund, there is a little activity in there, but still not very much. So it's staying pretty steady. It's $443,492.48. Transportation Vehicle Fund, Holly has her buses on order, but of course they take quite a while to get here. So the balance in there is $250,969.68. And then of course we have the Private Purpose Trust Fund. We're just earning interest on those right now. There hasn't been any activity in there. Drake Scholarship is $208,490.87. Mike Johnson Memorial is $5,472.26. And the Bulk Memorial is $25,690.08 for a total of $239,653.21. I'd like to go back up to general fund, just one more item. We are projecting the ending fund balance for this fiscal year to be around $4.7 million. So once we get through these initial setbacks from lack of transportation funding, we will be coming out strong at the end of the year. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. questions or comments about the February budget status report?
I would have a question, just checking in on our neighboring non-high districts. And, with their budgets, are they able to make their payments? And is that having any effect on our budget?
They are making their payments on time. We did have just a slight delay on the capital project payment from one of the districts, but within 2 weeks, we had the money. So everything's going smooth on general fund and capital projects.
All righty. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome.
So item 4.04, the Met Academy status report with Robert.
Good evening, members of our school board and Dr. Apostle. I would like to talk with you about the latest with the Met Academy. So as you are all aware, we bid here in the last 2 weeks, and that was a very successful process. And we currently are still in for final approval from the city. The SUP, the special use permit, is anticipated to be approved by the city council by an action on April 7th. And at that time, we should be able to collect our building permit as well and start to issue upon award tonight, which is another item that's up for review by the board this evening. If you're able to award that, we'll be able to move with a notice to proceed with the contractor after the issuance of permit. And then we'll start our construction process, and that will continue all the way through the summer. We're looking for an anticipated completion around October 1st. And then we'll be utilizing the building for instruction in the second trimester. So we have a little bit of room to work with where Dina and Dawn and all of the CTE staff and the Med Academy staff will be able to get that building up and running, and all the programming and training and everything with all the different equipment and everything worked out, which will be an exciting thing. And I also want to take a moment to introduce to you David Brown, who will be our project manager for this project. He'll do the same role that Jeff Feeney provided from KMB on our bond projects. And David Brown will be providing a monthly update as well, starting, which will be the first week, every first board meeting of every month, rather. Just like Jeff provided, and that will start in May, the very first board meeting in May. So it'll be a recurring agenda item. And with that, Mr. Brown, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I'd just like to say it's certainly it's a pleasure to be here. I've been working with the district for several years now, along with Jeff, and it's nice to be in this role. It's a little bit different for me now, but it's certainly a pleasure to be here. And you'll see a lot of information from me. I like to keep everybody very informed about what's going on with the project. And I tend to produce several reports. I have 4 that are real regular that I keep up. I work on them almost every day, keeping them up, and it's I do a report on where our project budget is, our cash flow, our schedule, and a progress report. And I use a color code system. I use a green, yellow, red, and you can imagine that green is really good, and red is really bad. So when it looks like I'm inching towards one of those red, I invent a new color and I put in an orange. So if you see an orange, it's kind of sneaking towards the bad. So I use the same thing that I use in trying to talk my way out of a traffic ticket. But anyway, you'll see a lot of reporting, and I try to keep everybody as informed as I can. And I certainly welcome a lot of questions. And I love working with Brenda and Robert and Dr. Apostle, and Mary Ann's been in a lot of our stuff. And of course, Dina and Don have been great to work with as well. So we're really looking forward. Everything has gone really well up to this point on the project. You've got a local contractor that won the low bid. They very much wanted the project. They're doing it with their A team, and they're doing it with several people that graduated from Shelton High School. So we feel we're very lucky. So Robert, thanks for the opportunity to introduce myself, and thank you all for the opportunity to do this work for you.
Yes, thank you very much, David. And we will not be seeing any orange or red, I'm certain, on this project.
I've never used them yet. I haven't used them yet.
And also, Dina and Don, did you have anything else that was related to teaching or program related for the Med Academy you'd like to share?
No, that's a great summary, Robert. I'm good. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great summary. I'm good.
All right, that's what we have to offer you this evening.
All right, thank you. It's very exciting. We're looking forward to having that project get started. Any questions or comments for Robert or David?
You have one, unless the board has something.
I just
Go ahead.
wanted to ask again the date that the city was proposing to have the approval on its agenda. What was that meeting date?
I believe it's April 7th, and so we can take action on April 8th.
All righty, thank you.
All right, go ahead, Dr. Apostle.
Thank you, Sally. That answered my question. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. So moving along to item 4.05, the Nye property update with Dina and Don.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Apostle, and thank you to the board for giving us this opportunity tonight to come and keep you and our community updated on our construction programming, looking to expand to the Nye property. We had a very successful second advisory committee meeting on March 9th, well attended by many of our local tradespeople, construction, roofing, plumbing, electrical, very good turnout. We had a conversation about what skills and programming needs to be included and how best to include that. We sketched out a very rough idea of how we want the facility on the Nye property to work for us. And then on tomorrow, there's a group of us actually going out to the Nye property with Robert kind of leading the way on that to begin the assessment of those buildings, looking at what we want the function to be versus what's there, what needs to be done so that we can start coming together with a timeline and a cost proposal for what will need to happen there. Today, Don and I went up to the Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee facility in DuPont, where we got to have a tour of the sheet metal apprenticeship. That was so interesting because we learned that there is a whole variety of career apprenticeships right in that one building, and they were very excited to have conversations with us about skill sets that students need. And we have a number of Shelton High School recent grads and that are currently there in their apprenticeship. We are also tomorrow, Don and I are sitting in on a webinar about a possible construction curriculum that we might want to take pieces of for that. And then Monday, I'm meeting with another group that has a partnership with Washington High School that reached out and contacted us about wanting to talk about curriculum and a partnership. So this is a project that's gaining steam quickly, just like the Med Academy did. And we're very excited for how it's looking and the community excitement and involvement. So thank you again for letting us come just give that brief update. Don, did you have anything you wanted to add?
You covered it very well. The only thing I want to add is I really want to thank all of our advisory committee members because they're all local contractors and they've been doing an outstanding job supporting us, supporting the program. And I actually had 3 of them reach out to me today asking already when the third meeting was going to be, and we don't even have that planned yet. So they're chomping at the bit to get moving on this. So that's good. That's good. Thank you.
All right, questions or comments for Dina and Don? All right. Well, thank you very much for that update. It's sort of exciting to hear about all of the new programs that are rapidly moving towards getting off the ground. So thank you for all your work on that. All right, item 4.06, it's the 2021 high school graduation ceremonies. which is coming up very quickly. So Marianne?
Good evening again to the board and Dr. Apostle. I'm here to share with you some graduation dates for our seniors in our various 3 high schools. So I'm going to start off with Choice High School. Graduation is planned for Thursday, June 3rd at 6:30 p.m. And right now, the principal, Stacy Anderson, has reserved the SHS Stadium as well as the Performing Arts Center. So we have some backup plans there, something outside and something inside, just in case. Next on, I'm going to move to Cedar High School. And graduation for Cedar High School is planned for Friday. My apologies. Is planned for Friday, June 4th, and they are scheduled to take place at the Performing Arts Center, which that will probably won't change because right now they have 9 seniors graduating from Cedar High School this year. The next up, we have Shelton High School, and they plan to hold graduation on Saturday, June 5th. And they really want to do something in person where they can allow families to come. So they're going to hold 2 ceremonies in the SHS Stadium. Now they also have a backup plan in case something happens with COVID in the phases that we're in. They'll do the drive-through like we did last year. So that is the update for our graduations this year.
All right, thank you. Did we have a time on Cedar High School yet, and for the two graduations for SHS?
Yes, so for SHS, I have the time of the first one will be taking place at 11 a.m. and the second one will be taking place at 3 p.m. And Amber, if you could remind me, because it's not in my notes, for Cedar High School, what time were you having planned for the Performing Arts Center?
We're at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you so much.
Excellent, thank you. So questions for Marianne? Fingers crossed we can do these in person. Yeah, I really hope so.
I do have a question. So
All
for
right.
the one at Shelton High School, that will likely be 2 different ceremonies. Will students have the option to sign up for which one they want, or is that going to be divided by name, or how are we going to separate the 2?
So right now, Mr. Kipper, the Shelton High School principal, is in the planning phases of that. So we're going to break the students in half. We have about 337 students planning to graduate. So he plans to break that team apart and offer 2 different ceremonies. How that will be decided, who goes to what ceremony, that has not been determined unless Mr. Kipper, there is an update after we spoke this afternoon.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, Marianne. So you're up again for item 4.07, which is the Most Inspiring Student Awards ceremony.
All right, so the Most Inspiring Student Awards night is planned for May 19th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. At the stadium at Shelton High School. Right now, I'm working on for something inside. So right now we're looking at inside the mini dome if we can. The problem with going inside means less people can attend. And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to do something outside and it will be nice, but we're gonna have a backup plan in case it's raining and or something happens with COVID that makes it so we can't hold it outside or outside, so.
All right, questions for Marianne about the Most Inspiring Student Award? All right. All right, so item 4.08, moving on ceremonies with Marianne.
All right. Our moving on ceremonies for our elementary schools are on the calendar for June 9th from 4 to 6 p.m. Right now, they have planned a drive-through event. I've asked our elementary principals in all of our buildings to plan something for not just a drive-through. Could we do something like at the SHS Stadium? Could we do something, on the field? So they're putting together an alternative just in case. we can gather more people. Next up, for Olympic Middle School, we have their moving up ceremony scheduled for June 9th from 3 to 5. And that is planned for a drive-through as well. And they're creating something, another option instead of the drive-through. Oakland Bay is planned for June 2nd, and that will be taking place from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Again, that's a drive-through event right now, planning something else as well. Choice Middle School, their moving up ceremony is going to take place on May 27th at 1 p.m. And that is going to be a virtual moving up ceremony. And that is the update for moving up ceremonies here in the district.
All right, thank you. Questions for Mary Ann? All right, well, thank you. It's very exciting that we're finding ways to do all of our end of the year traditions. Okay, so item 4.09, which is the OSPI Asset Prevention Condition Update for Evergreen Elementary and Olympic Middle School with Robert.
Members of the school board and Dr. Apostle, this is my spring and still here in Washington State. And every year I bring to you the Asset Prevention Program update as a requirement from the legislature for facilities that received state funding and have been assigned into the Asset Prevention Program. Currently, we still, even though we have more recent projects, they still have not been assigned by the state and to be part of the APP project. We still are only monitoring Evergreen and Olympic Middle School as part of the APP. And so every year with our we go through and do an annual evaluation and update the information in the state's ICO system and provide that information back to the state, just notifying them what the current index of our buildings are. And so this includes a lot of different benchmarks, including the condition of the roofs, the paint, asphalt, mechanical systems, every different aspect of our facilities. And so we go back through and we evaluate the score and we make changes based on the continuing, our buildings age, and they do go down generally in nature, even when good maintenance is applied. And so this year, there's actually not any significant statistical change between Evergreen and Olympic Middle School. Some of the things are aging, but also we've gone back and done some things like including some boiler replacements and some painting and things of that nature. Like at Evergreen, we painted all the exterior doors, which was actually something that was causing our metrics to drop last year and over the previous year. So the general number is not very much in flux. However, one thing that does occur as a part of the asset prevention program is every 6 years, we have to bring in outside a consultant to come in and do that review and evaluation for us. And so in the last evaluation, which was done in 2016, was done by Canby Architects for us. And they prepare that report and do the update into the system. And this includes all the district's buildings, by the way, not just Evergreen and Olympic Middle School. And so we're ready to do that after this phase of this evening. And I notify the state that I have brought the board up to speed on the latest of our ICOS system or award number. That we will actually start to begin that process. And we're in talks with David Brown as a possibility as someone getting a number put together for possibly providing that service for us for this year. And so next year we'll be bringing forward an entire report of all the district's assets and the update to ICOS after the completion of that survey with our third party. So tonight is just about giving you an update specifically about Evergreen Olympic, which was included in your board package. It's a very simple update. So if you've had, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to look at that. And that's all I have for you this evening. It's just a bureaucratic requirement to bring this up to you. No action is necessary.
All right, thank you, Robert. Questions, discussion for Robert, comments? All right, great, thank you, Robert. And I believe you are up again for item 4.10, the vaccination update.
This is one of my favorite things to talk about, actually. As most of you are probably aware, the process of trying to our staff district-wide to get everyone that's interested in being vaccinated against the COVID, against COVID illness and the coronavirus 19 has been my responsibility, and it's something that I've been spending a big chunk of my time on here, at least recently. Probably about 30% of my work time is spent working with staff to get them vaccinated, and I'm happy to report through many different programs, including partnerships with Mason County Health Services, Mason General Hospital, the Medicine Shop Pharmacy, Kaiser Permanente, and many other retail outlets and others. We have been able to several times over offer every staff member in the district a vaccination. And so at least their attempt for a first dose. And so based on my estimates, and this is just anecdotal, when I go to specific groups or people and ask them if they're interested in being vaccinated, I'll tell you that the uptake is about 40 to 42%. And so that's a good number. It's slightly above average for other industries and trades. And so it really shows that our people are really interested in being vaccinated. The reasons for decline is some are just fear of needles. Some people are afraid of the effects of this vaccine, possibly because it's new. But the biggest reason that people decline is they are waiting for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And so I try to work with the people and take them through some questions to help them to properly assess their specific situation and risk, to encourage them to possibly not wait for Johnson & Johnson, because we have Pfizer and Moderna vaccines often available here locally. So, but after, if I can't coerce them in the most pleasant and professional way to interest in getting them vaccinated sooner, then I will also continue to help them as Johnson & Johnson vaccines become available as well. So, and also one thing I'd like to report is that people are changing their minds too. So the people that were declining are now, coming back in small numbers here and there and saying, Mr. Herring, can you help me get vaccinated? And I'm always happy to do so. And so, because people are finding that their friends and family and colleagues are doing pretty well after being vaccinated, and then there's some of their fears they're feeling better about, and others were doing it for other reasons, like not having to quarantine after travel. That's a great benefit as well for staff vaccinations. And so I also we did have a clinic in district on March 5th at OMS, and that went extremely well. We're in district, we're able to vaccinate over 120 people. They're around to come and getting their second dose now this Friday, and so that's a great thing. We were actually able to take many of our 66 district employees who were vaccinated at the county clinic on March the 4th at the port. We were able to move them to the OMS clinic for their second dose. And so that's been something that would be impossible in most places. It would be a bureaucratic mess to try to get county doses into Mason General's hands to put into our staff at our OMS clinic. It's been an amazing process. It just really shows the collaboration that's happening on the county level with private enterprise and with government agencies, and everybody's working together to try to solve this. Chelsea or Mary, do you have anything you wanted to discuss, related to some of our vaccination clinics?
I was just also the collaboration, and when they found that they would have those extra doses, it moved fast. Man, did it move fast. But it was organized and it was smooth. And I just have to say, like you mentioned, Robert, it's a personal choice for each person on whether or not they want to get vaccinated.
but it was exciting for the people that did come through, just the feeling in the room. There was a lot of positive energy, and it was just, it was great to be a part of, and it was exciting for the staff involved. And so, yeah, it was pretty amazing.
And that's what I was just going to say. It felt like a party and a celebration, and we've not been able to do any of that. So it's been a long time since I've seen staff so excited, but also just the complete flexibility. I mean, I think we put it together in 24 hours, and it was truly a team effort. But teachers, staff was just, they were so excited, they dropped everything. It was like, whatever it takes.
I'm so grateful for Chelsea and Mary's assistance and leadership throughout this whole thing, and being able to help me with other buildings. In fact, they've done a great job, and I'm just and it felt like Christmas. I felt like Santa Claus. It's amazing because people were coming in, they were excited. I've got my form, and I've never seen people so happy to get jabbed with needles before. So it was it's been a fun process because it is something that is really going to benefit the health of our staff and our students as well, you know, and it's going to really help the county, all of our residents. The sooner that people can be vaccinated, the better, healthier we'll be. The ability of having, you know, different strains and mutations that occur. The earlier we get immunized, the better we all are all off. And so I also want to take another opportunity to thank Mason General Hospital, Shelley Dunnington and Nicole Edens and Terry and everybody that's there, as well as the people at Mason County Health that I work with every day. You know, I work with Chris Nelson. I also worked with Dave Wyndham for a long time while he was here, with Audrey and with Sunny, and they're really concerned for our health of everybody that we work with every day, and they just do a great job. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to Ty Davidson at the medicine shop. And this has just been an amazing process.
All right, thank you, Robert. So questions or comments for Robert?
I just want to say thank you to you, Robert. I know that this has been just a humongous thing to, on top of everything else that you're doing, to coordinate, and, to, Mary and Chelsea for getting a clinic together that quickly. And it really is amazing. The mass vaccination events that our county is holding have really, they've been going amazingly well. So just the coordinated efforts in our community that's going on around this have been really incredible. I did actually sit in a Board of Health meeting earlier today at 3:00. And I don't know if they let you know this, but it sounds like Walmart here in Shelton will be the first pharmacy to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccination. And they may be the only one that does for quite some time, because the state is not getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccination to allocate to our health department. So they were letting us know that news today. If people are being picky about which shot, like you said, it's better to just get the one that's available, and most places are coordinating that second dose just as easily too. So I'm really happy to hear that everybody was able to be coordinated for the event on Friday. And I hope everybody that gets their second dose, that they end up feeling all right too, over the weekend. I hate to have people not feel well after that, and it's kind of hit and miss how people feel. So good luck to everybody getting that second dose. And it's just nice to have that extra layer of protection.
That's a great update. Thank you for that. I had not heard that. So that's wonderful news.
Yeah, they just said that today.
All right, other questions or comments for Robert? All right, thank you, Robert. Appreciate all that you're doing and for the update. All right, item 4.11, which is the Billy Frank Jr. activities in our schools with Mary Ann.
Good evening to the board. Thank you for allowing me to present on Billy Frank Jr. Day throughout our district. This event takes place this year on March 9th. And if you don't know Billy Frank Jr., he is an Nisqually tribal member who has been recognized for his work around the environment and also treaty rights. So the week of March 9th, our school spent time posting things on Facebook about Billy Frank Jr., putting things on their reader board, having lessons and advisory, activities. You could walk inside buildings, traditional bulletin boards that go up just to teach the students in our community and our family, who is Billy Frank Jr., why is it important that we know his work, and then just to share the love around his work around the environment as well. So thank you for your opportunity tonight to share on Billy Frank Jr. Day in the Shelton School District.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments for Mary Ann?
I'll just say I thought all the schools did such a great job. I saw lots of different social media posts, you know, with different things going on in each school, which I thought was really nice. And then, of course, I'm driving a daughter up to OBJH for after school sports every day. And they've had a wonderful quote on their billboard that, you know, you too can make a difference. And I think that all of those things have just been really nice to highlight. So I just want to thank each school for doing that, for highlighting that and doing teaching the kids more about it, as well as our community in the process.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mary Ann.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right. So moving on to item 5, which is our consent agenda. We have several minutes to approve personnel reports and some general fund warrants and capital fund warrants. Is there any discussion around this agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, consent agenda is approved. So moving on to discussion and action items. 6.01 is the proposed 2021-22 school calendar with Terry.
Good evening, President Carr, board members, and Dr. Apostle. Yes, I'm here to ask for your approval. We do have the 21-22 calendar done. It's almost an exact mirror image of this year. So I know you have a copy of that calendar, but September 1st is the first day of school. This year it was September 2nd, and the school year ends at the same time, the second Friday in June. And the only change really that happened in the calendar was that there was a recommendation made to move the PLT early release time from Friday to Wednesday. And as you know, we've done that during the hybrid, and we found that to be a really good solution. So kind of everyone was pretty strongly in agreement that that worked really well and would like to continue that next year. So that is it's really the only change in this calendar. There is one thing, and that is Dr. Apostle had made me aware that typically we bring the calendar forward a little earlier in the year, and I apologize for that. I wasn't aware of that, but in the true Shelton fashion, we get things done. So next year it will be here sooner, but it's a mirror image calendar. All the associations have had a chance to review it, the unions and associations, and everyone is in agreement that it looks like a real good calendar, and it's worked very well this year, and we plan on it working equally well next year. And so thank you very much for the opportunity to present.
All right, thank you, Terry. Questions or comments on the school calendar for next year? All right, if not, then I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the proposed 2021-2022 school calendar.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the 2021-22 school year calendar. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. for next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
6.02 is the meeting of the Shelton High School basketball with Katie Diamond.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Dr. Apostle and the school board for having me here tonight. We're both here tonight to make a recommendation on behalf of the facility naming committee regarding the nominations to name the basketball court after Coach Terry Gregg at Shelton High School. As you know, we received a nomination to name the basketball court after Coach Gregg last school year, and we've sent out a survey to our community to gauge their feelings on the matter. Our facility naming committee has met multiple times. We've had a lot of discussions, and we've taken our community's input as well as the school board's input into consideration. And so tonight we're here to present our recommendation that the basketball court be named Terry Gregg Court. I'm going to pass the mic over to Richard Lewis really quick, and he's going to give a brief history about Coach Gregg and all the things he's done for our schools and community.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about Coach Gregg. I'm a little bit nervous right now because my principal is going to see that I'm not in my parent-teacher conferences right now. But I promise Mr. Kipper, I'm going right back to him. So I am so busted right now. So I'm going to make this short. I'm going to be getting an email about this. So I did give the induction speech for Coach Gregg about a year ago when we inducted him to the Hall of Fame. And obviously he won the state basketball championship in 1976, and he finished second in 1977. Just a class act. I believe they made the state championship 14 out, or they made the state tournament 14 out of 17 years. So just an incredible run of excellence. He was 4 times Black Hills Coach of the Year. But I think more than all the numbers and all the excellences winning is how he went about it. He was one of those coaches that was really process oriented, and he started them when they were young, getting the kids in the gym, getting them working on the weekends. No one does it anymore, but he did, man defense, which is where every player had to man up to their guy, didn't do zone defense. So the way he went about it, just a remarkable guy. He also was a PE teacher. And before, I guess it became popular, although it should have always been popular, he was really big about not seeing kids bullied in PE classes. So that was a big thing with Coach Gregg, that no matter what kind of athlete you were, what kind of kid you were, nobody was bullied in any of Coach Gregg's PE class. So that was really something, if you ever ask him about him, and I teach with his son, if you ever ask anyone, that was one thing all the students that remember him think, hey, when I was in Coach Gregg's PE class, I was treated right. I was treated right. And so that is something, a legacy that he left too. So that commitment, that discipline, that excellence, and of course that state championship banner from 1976 is there. And hey, there's nothing like a state championship. So we love seeing that. And we're really excited that the coach that brought all those championships to us, we're going to be naming that court after him. So thank you very much, school board, for your time. And I'm going to go back to my parent-teacher conferences now.
All right, thank you, Richard.
Bye.
So I will just close this out and let you know that we are here tonight and we are seeking your approval on our recommendation to name the basketball court after Terry Gregg.
All right, thank you, Katie. Questions or comments? I'm a product of Coach Gregg. He, at elementary school, learned to play basketball from his Saturday morning clinics. My parents still talk about me running up and down the court with a ball that was too big and trying to keep my knee socks pulled up. So Coach Gregg is, like Richard said, a class act. I also had the privilege of having him as a PE teacher one of the last years that he taught at Shelton High School. So I can agree and second everything that Richard had to say about Coach Gregg. He taught more than basketball. He taught life skills, and he taught pride and good sportsmanship and working your hardest and doing your best, regardless of who you are or your abilities. So I always have appreciated that about him. So any other comments or questions from the board?
Well, Sally, I myself did not get to experience Coach Greg, but my husband has always spoken very highly and very fondly of those Saturday camps that both he and his sister did. And I know that we have had numerous presentations in front of the board. Back when we used to have in-person meetings, we had people of, all ages come back and present to us why they felt like the mini dome should be named after Coach Greg. And it is so much more than just basketball. It's good sportsmanship. It's, life lessons that have, and all of their personal stories showed how much this individual cared about them and impacted their life for quite a long time. So I honestly think it would be a wonderful honor to give to him.
All right. Other questions or comments, or is there a motion?
I would love to make a motion for this, that we accept the naming committee's recommendation to name the basketball court after Coach Greg.
I would love to second that.
It's been moved and seconded to name the basketball court after Coach Terry Gregg. Any other further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Well, we have a new name for our basketball court. Thank you,
so much.
Katie. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Richard.
Thank you. You guys have a nice evening.
All right. So moving on to item 6.03, the proposed awarding of the Met Academy. So Robert.
Yes, this evening, members of the board and Dr. Apostle, I bring to you the request, if you would be so kind, to approve and award the bid to award the contract to Berkshire Group of Tumwater. They are the successful low bidder. They have been vetted and qualified. David Brown completed the review of all of their references, which were among the best we've ever encountered when it comes to reference checks. And it's also been recommended by our architecture firm, NAC, and that everything is in your board packet. Is for a base bid of $2.49 million. We wanted to accept alternates 1 through 6, which includes parking lot enhancements and also a compressing of the schedule for $0. And it comes to a total bid award amount for $2.663 million.
All right. Questions or comments, discussion? All right. If there are no questions, entertain a motion.
I do have a comment, Sally.
Yeah, go ahead.
That bid is something very special. To stay within our budget and to be able to build what we're going to build in terms of the future for students in the Shelton School District and our community. It's actually, I was stunned with the bid. It's going to be a beautiful facility, and I'd like to thank our staff, Robert, Brenda, and others that were involved in that process. And David, thank you for everything. We're very fortunate to be able to build such a facility for that amount of money. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other
I also
questions?
was going to comment similarly, but also add on that, it was nice to read the references for this company. So I feel very confident moving forward with that. And I can even go ahead and make the motion that we accept the proposed awarding of the bid for the Met Academy to Berkshire Company.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to award the bid for the Met Academy to the Berkshire Company. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We have a successful contract.
Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. So item 6.04 is the resolution number 2102, an emergency waiver of high school graduation credits. So Kelly Neely.
Hi everyone, it's good to see us all again. I am here to propose the resolution. It addresses the emergency graduation waiver. It is very similar to the one that we had last year, but it does have a few differences to it. The first thing is that it allows 4 credits to be waived, 2 of which can be in core credits, but they may not be in the same core class. So for instance, they both can't be in math or they both can't be in science. If the student doesn't need a core class waived, of course they can all be in the flexible credits. The students need to have 20 credits this year to graduate. And then also a little different spin on things. Last year we weren't able to give full waivers for the pathways, and this year we are able to do a pathway waiver and a graduation credit waiver if we would like to. What has to be done though is the district has to have applied and received a waiver approval. I've already applied for it and it's sitting there just waiting its turn to be approved. Basically what it says is that we're going to comply to everything that they would like us to comply to. The student to be considered for a pathway waiver, a graduation pathway waiver, the student has to have demonstrated post-secondary readiness, has to have reasonably have been expected to graduate pre-pandemic, and the district has demonstrated good faith and effort to support the student by giving them, credit. Grant a student a waiver. The student may read that. They can go through a process and challenge it, and we'll have a committee that looks at this. So, for instance, one of the things that was talked about a waiver for it, they might have to take a Math 90 class, which is here over who we've given waivers to and who we haven't given waivers to. So that's where we stand right now. It's in a nutshell. I went to 2 days of the State Board of Education meeting over it.
All right, questions for Kelly?
This waiver to graduate?
We are actually meeting tomorrow with all of the counselors, Lynn. I've asked them, there are a couple of different things that we could do too, like competency credits. So if a student in a class that has an A and a B section to them, if the student didn't pass the first section, but they passed the second section with a C or better, we award those credits. So I've asked them to do all of that work, bring it with us tomorrow. Now that we know that it is indeed 4 credits and what they can be in, I've asked them to bring all that information together tomorrow. So we'll be able to give you a much more solid number the next time that we meet. We feel like it's a feeling. I mean, it isn't 100% accurate, but with all of these different ways that we can meet the graduation requirements, we feel like there shouldn't be very many kids that are still hanging out there. If at all, it's not going to be the pathway that's going to hang them up. It would maybe be the credit. There was a lot of discussion over two credits, 4 credits, 6 credits, just a lot of back and forth with the board members.
All right, other questions?
Kelly, I have a question. You mentioned that having a job would have some bearing on it. Are there any limitations or guidelines as to what kind of job would be acceptable for that?
No, they decided, and actually, Sandy, it's a really good question because I got slightly offended at one of the meetings. They were talking about not allowing things like restaurant work or those types of jobs. And I pointed out to them in a letter that we like our students to be able to come back to this community, and we have a lot of hotel and restaurant management opportunities. We have, the fishing industry. We have, if they're pickers for brush, we have that industry as well. Like I did not want them to put any limitations on that type of job because, you know, who are we to judge basically? So they actually hung with that after listening to a lot of folks from rural areas and said, no, it really didn't matter, but they would like a letter from like the job site saying that they demonstrated good habits like being on time and showing some leadership things. So that made me feel a little bit better about it.
All right. Any other questions for Kelly? If not, if we could have a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 21-02, the emergency waiver of high school graduation credits.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2102. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Resolution 2102 is adopted.
Thank you, and we'll get busy on it.
Thanks, Kelly. All right. Item 6.05, the superintendent update with Sandy.
Well, since the last board meeting, the last regular board meeting, we've had a couple of other meetings. We met on Monday the 15th with the search consultants to discuss possibilities and limitations on conducting interviews with our current phase.
Sandy, I think we lost you there.
Discussed the pros and cons, narrowed it down to 5. And now that we have our 5 finalists, we're busy setting up and coordinating the actual interviews, and I'll let Sally Carr talk about that.
All right, yeah, so on Saturday, we will be having interviews with our 5 semifinalists starting at 9 in the morning. We will be using sort of a hybrid model for that so that the community is able to observe and be involved. If you are interested in attending live, there is a sign up procedure that is on our website. If you are able, we though encourage you to attend virtually. There will be a streaming service available so that you're able to also watch to observe those superintendent semifinalist interviews. Like I said, they'll start at 9 in the morning. It'll be about an hour for each interview with a 15-minute break in between. We'll also have an hour for lunch because it's going to be a really long day and we're going to be tired and hungry. At the end of the day, we will have opportunity for the community to give feedback. Our consultant will be here to facilitate that, and there'll also be the opportunity for those who are watching online to provide feedback. And then we will meet on Saturday after it's all done, the board will, to make a decision on who the finalists will be.
I had a member of the public ask a question, but I think I'm frozen right now.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. They wanted to know if it was going to be recorded, if the Saturday interviews were going to be recorded. And I believe Mason Web TV going to do the streaming?
Actually, the streaming is going to be done through the school district. So I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. That is actually an excellent question and not something that we had discussed yet. So I'm sure Katie and I will get together on that.
Alrighty, thank you.
Oh, Robert, go ahead.
So yeah, since it's being streamed through YouTube, Joey Seward's going to be taking care of that. It will have the option just by a click of a button to record.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right. Anything else, Sandy, that we need to cover on that?
I don't think so. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty part, the actual learning about the candidates, and then we'll have our discussion and where the real work begins.
Yep. I guess I would comment that next week, after we select finalists, we will have the finalists in district, one finalist per day. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there will be community forums on each evening. So Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, with the option of attending live or streaming. And we'll make our decision on Thursday. So we should have an announcement by next Friday, April 2nd, as to who the new superintendent will be. So like Sandy said, exciting times. It's happening quickly now that we're finally to this point. So any questions or comments from board members? All right. I would like to thank staff for all of their help and work and all of be able to do this without all of you. So we appreciate everyone who's been helping. All right, so moving on to item 7, the superintendent's report. Dr. Apostle.
Thank you. As you've heard this evening from our cabinet, the Shelton School District continues marching confidently into the future. And there is no question that everyone in our district has worked very hard to get us to this point in terms of program and in terms of the pandemic, in relation to where we are as a district. But even more important is the fact that we have rigorously planned for our current and future success. We've had everybody involved in determining the direction, including the school board, regarding the direction of our school district. And what you've heard this evening is a combined effort to continue to move these programs, even during the most challenging times that most of us have ever encountered. And I think that's a great tribute to our school board, to our staff, to our students, to our families, and to our community for sticking by us during these difficult times so that we could continue to deal with the issues that were brought to you this evening. I'm very grateful to our principals, our assistant principals, our counselors, our teachers, the cabinet, who has done a terrific job through thick and thin, and of course the board for supporting all of our efforts. It's great to be in Shelton right now, and I really truly believe this, that the greater days lie ahead based on everyone's efforts to this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Apostle. All right, we come to that part of the meeting for the second community comments. So at this time, is there anyone who would like to make a comment? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to board member comments. So Sandy, you're at the top of my list right now. Would you like to go first?
I don't see Coach Smith here on the list of participants, but we were cruising the Smoke and Mo's menu, and apparently there's a Coach Smith's creation on the menu. So we're going to be brave enough to try that here. It's a climber burger. So that's on our agenda before the week is out to try the climber burger. If anybody's had any experience with that, you'll have to let me know. But other than that, just a big round of thank you to everyone that has come together to make so many great things happen, and take care of so many of the little details that would easily trip us up, and we're able to move forward because all those little details have been taken care of. So thank you to all.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Lynn, would you like to go next?
Sure. So Sandy reminded me, I did want to congratulate our climbers and everyone who helped them earn the axe back. So that's pretty exciting. I just think tonight we had some excellent reports. There's just a lot of really good work going on. I'm excited, Brenda, for us to get all that money. So hopefully we can, you know, kind of make up for some lost time and lost abilities there. And then finally, just working together with my fellow board members on the interview questions for the upcoming interviews on Saturdays for our next superintendent. It was just such a rewarding process to see how thoughtful everyone is in this process, and just excellent feedback. And everyone's taking this, you know, so seriously. We really want to make sure that we make the best selection for our school district. And we have excellent candidates, so it's going to be exciting. So thank you. They got big shoes to fill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. All right, Carrie, you're up.
Yes, to piggyback on that, I was going to say, just reflecting back on this last year, that we've all been through so much, and all along the way, I mean, I'm just so thankful for each and every one of you that's on this call. Dr. Apostle, for your consistent leadership during some really trying times. You know, as you near the end of your career here with us in Shelton, we just, you know, really do thank you for the leadership and the guidance that you've had, you know, throughout the way. And then I will also say, just our teachers. I know our teachers are not in this call, but I was so much reminded of this last week because my daughter Abby is very shy, and she was so nervous to go back to school, and she was very excited to go back to school. And I had no idea how that day was going to go for her. It's hard to drop off your child, and you can't go anywhere near the building, and you just watch them walk in and you hope for the best. And she came home that night and she was smiling, and she's like, I had the best day back at school. And I was like, what was so great about it? And she said, I walked in the door and Mr. Poland was like, there's Abby Davidson. And then she said, Mrs. Stormer down the hall was like, there's Abby. And she's like, I felt like I was famous. And you forget that they just need so much to be seen. And she hadn't been back in that environment, and to have teachers that she cared about point her out. I mean, when she told me, and I'm getting a little choked up, it's just, you know, I know that our teachers care so much about our students. I know all of you do. You're doing the behind the scenes stuff sometimes, and you're working so hard in such a trying time. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it is what helps hold us all together during all of this. And I feel like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm hopeful, you know, that I'm always hopeful. I watch the case rates every day, and I always love seeing that number go down. I would love to see it get way down to nothing and stay there. But just, you know, these steps forward that we've all been making when it's been very uncertain times. I know we're all going to look back on this, even, you know, probably for the rest of my life. I will look back on this and just know what an important time this all was. So just thank you, Shelton, and I'm excited to be a part of that. So thank you.